Welcome to the Explainer. So, you're planning to take the leap and earn your project management professional certification, right? Well, if you've taken even one look at PMI's multi-tiered eligibility rules for 2026, you probably felt instantly intimidated. Honestly, it's completely normal to feel that way. Trying to figure out if you have the exact right mix of education, training, and strictly calculated experience months, it can feel like a massive project in and of itself. But hey, take a deep breath, because today I am going to promise you a completely stress-free guide. We're going to break down all these requirements by walking you through a fantastic, completely free 30-second checker tool that'll tell you exactly where you stand.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, demystifying PMP eligibility rules. 2, the free checker tool. 3, Path A versus Path B. 4, defining project leadership experience. 5, calculating your training hours. And finally, 6, your instant result.
Section 1. Demystifying PMP eligibility rules.
Now you might be thinking, hasn't this been around for a while? And yes, while the 2026 PMI eligibility requirements use the exact same framework established back in 2021, there's still a major hurdle for so many aspiring PMs. The terminology PMI uses is highly specific, and the math required to calculate your experience, it's definitely not just simple addition. And here's why this matters so much. Strict rules mean steep penalties if you get your application wrong. Miscalculating your eligibility, like say accidentally double-counting months where you ran 2 projects at once, can lead to incredibly stressful application audits, or even worse, outright rejection. You absolutely do not want to spend months studying for a brutal exam only to realize you weren't even qualified to sit for it in the first place. You need a reliable, bulletproof solution to verify your status before you ever hit submit on the PMI website.
Section 2. The free checker tool.
So, instead of pulling your hair out with a giant spreadsheet trying to calculate your dates, I want to introduce you to the Sikhana Seekho PMP Eligibility Checker. Consider this tool your ultimate, stress-free map for navigating PMI's rules. What I absolutely love about this specific tool is just how user-friendly it is. It literally takes 30 seconds to use. It's completely free, there is absolutely no login or account creation required, and you get an instant pass or fail result. It acts as an immediate safety net. You just plug in your data, and it guarantees you're ready to go, or it shows you the exact gap you need to close before you even think about applying. It really is efficiency at its best.
Section 3. Path A versus Path B.
And this brilliantly illustrates the first input you'll encounter on the checker tool. It's basically the initial fork in the road regarding your educational background, which dictates exactly how much experience you'll need. PMI divides the world into 2 distinct paths here. If you have a 4-year bachelor's degree or its global equivalent, you're on Path A, which requires 36 months of project experience and 35 hours of formal PM training. But if you have a secondary degree, like a high school diploma or an associate's degree, you're on Path B, requiring a much steeper 60 months of project experience, alongside that same 35 hours of training. What's fantastic to note here for my Path A folks is that online degrees from accredited institutions count equally. PMI really doesn't care if you sat in a lecture hall or in your living room, just as long as the university is accredited.
Section 4. Defining project leadership experience.
Moving on to the second input on the tool, the experience slider. Now, this is where people get the most confused and, frankly, make the most critical application errors. So I want to pause right here and ask you directly. What kind of work do you think actually qualifies as a project in the eyes of PMI? Well, they define a project as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. That means it is not your day-to-day ongoing operations.
So the crucial point is that purely operational or administrative roles simply do not count. You must be leading and directing the work, not just executing assigned tasks. Now don't worry if your official job title wasn't project manager. If you were making decisions, controlling a budget, managing risks, or taking accountability for delivery outcomes, that absolutely counts as project leadership experience.
Now, take a look at this bold number, 8. This is a massive constraint you must be aware of when using the slider on the checker tool. All of your 36 or 60 months of project experience must fall strictly within the last 8 years from the exact date you submit your application. Anything you did 9 years ago, no matter how impressive it was, vanishes completely from your PMI eligibility math.
And then we have the golden rule of non-overlapping months. Let's say you're managing the rollout of a new software system from January to June, and simultaneously you're managing a marketing campaign from March to August. Well, you do not get to double count those overlapping spring months. Concurrent projects count as one single month of experience. When you adjust the experience slider on the Sikhana Seekho tool, you must only count unique calendar months where you are leading a project.
Section 5. Calculating your training hours.
Okay, assuming you've got your calendar months properly calculated, your final input is mandatory training. Whether you're on Path A with a degree or Path B without one, you must log 35 hours of formal project management education. This can come from online courses, university modules, or employer-sponsored training. You just need to have the certificates on hand to prove it.
But wait, I actually have a fantastic shortcut for you. If you hold a current, valid Certified Associate in Project Management or CAPM certification, it acts as a total cheat code. A valid CAPM fully satisfies that 35-hour training requirement. There's actually a super handy little checkbox on the Sikhana Seekho tool for this. If you check it, you instantly bypass the need to document any separate training hours. How cool is that?
Section 6. Your instant result and next steps.
Let's move to and see how this builds your actual application journey. Once you've inputted your path, adjusted your experience months, and inputted your training hours, or checked that CAPM box, you just hit check for your instant result. It outlines exactly what gap remains. Maybe you just need 3 more months of experience. Or gives you a big green light confirming you are completely ready to apply. Once the tool gives you that green light, your next steps are totally straightforward. You create a free PMI account, carefully document the experience and training hours you just validated in the tool, submit your application, wait the 5 to 10 days for approval, and then schedule a sit your 180-question exam.
Visually anchoring why getting the checker right is so crucial. PMI randomly audits roughly 20 to 25% of all applications. That's literally 1 in 4 people. If you fall into that audited slice, you're going to have 90 days to provide physical proof of your degree, your training certificates, and critically, you'll need your former managers to physically sign off confirming your experience dates and roles.
Because of that 1 in 4 chance, the source guide offers this phenomenal tip. Even if you're not audited, collect and save all supporting documents before you apply. It's much less stressful. Honestly, this is so true. Gather your degree certificates and reach out to your past managers for confirmation well in advance of hitting submit. It transforms a potential nightmare audit into a really minor administrative blip.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it brings it all together. To summarize, the entire 2026 Eligibility Reference Guide comes down to this clean, digestible grid. Whether you need 36 months or 60 months, whether you need 35 hours of training or just a KPM, it all comes down to knowing exactly where you sit on these 2 paths.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly important question to ask. Are you ready to find out your PMP eligibility in just 30 seconds? Now that you fully understand the rules of the game, I highly encourage you to go use the free, no-login Sikhana Seekho tool. Don't guess your eligibility. Know it for an absolute fact and confidently take that next massive step in your career. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy project managing.